an eye, like a 50th of a second. I can be gone in the spirit for minutes to hours. And what happened is, at that moment, I was not driving there. I was standing on the side of the highway, and I was seeing people walking, and RVs, and the road, just people crawling along at a few miles per hour, and a lot of people walking on the sides of the highway, and people crying. And I looked back, and I saw this giant mushroom cloud rising. And I said, well, you know, and I asked them what had happened, and they could hardly speak, and they were saying that they saw the destruction of the core of Chicago. And I'm not sure if that's a city, but that's just one of the visions I had. And then I've seen other cities, a city in an area that's very flat. You know, it could be a plain city, could be Los Angeles, but it was a city that was very, very flat. The landscape was not hilly. And I saw this, you know, it was like 20, 30 blocks vaporized. I saw people running around screaming as shards of material went flying, and they looked up and they could see through their hands, and they could see the bones almost like an X-ray. And then, of course, immediately afterward, they were blind. They couldn't see anything. So I'm not sure when the timeline is, but I know that the events that are going to be unleashed Tuesday are going to result in a nuclear event in a U.S. city. And it will be one or more cities that they'll do it in.
Okay. Thank you for telling us and sharing your vision.
And it could be now, or it could be in next spring. But I know that the events are going to. Something's going to happen Tuesday, and it's a financial thing that will set in motion the events that will result in this. It could be as early as the middle of October. But I know that what's coming is martial law, and it may not last that long because they don't even have the troops or the capacity to manage the entire population. But I know that they're trying. It's like Katrina. They're preparing the population for a much wider and larger event, just like they prepared Oklahoma City for 9/11. This is the next step from 9/11, and Tuesday the events are going to unleash this next event.
Okay, Bill. I wanted to ask you if you are okay with us saying your location at the moment, because as a psychic intuitive, your location to the event will influence the depth of your vision, so to speak, I believe. So are you comfortable with saying the city and the state, or would you rather just say the state?
Or is it possible that would be misleading, because some people in California might become very terrified by this, and it might not actually.
Yeah, I don't feel. I know. Actually, I do know what cities are the target cities, and I know which ones are the most likely to be struck.
Okay, but do you want to say where you are located at the moment? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm in Southern California right now.
Okay.
And the location that is the most probable from the visions I've had. Remember now, I'm getting little flashes, almost like seeing little video clips, only tiny little short flashes. It's a very flat terrain. It's an area that is in a warmer climate. It's an area that's near the coast. It is an area where there's a massive population. It's an area where there's lots of freeways.
Okay.
It's an
I
area
think
that's in a
that
valley.
Down sufficiently.
Yeah. Well, actually, there will be a lot of people listening to this who aren't familiar with the local terrain. What places fit that set of descriptors? Because I don't know.
Which places fit with that?
Yeah.
The top on the list is Los Angeles.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, there are really no other
Bill,
cities that fit with it.
I want to ask you some things that'll take us in a little bit different direction, just to, we can come back to this, okay? We know, as you know, and that this event, we were just on Friday, obviously they approved the bailout. And as you say, this is a blood sacrifice.
This is a Luciferic sacrifice.
What I found interesting is that it is also, for example, Iceland has also is doing a bailout at the moment. That was in the news. There are other countries in the world at the moment that are actually doing similar kinds of bailouts for their banks. Some are in the news, and some are probably hiding it.
Right.
There's also, we're getting some information, very small, about what was called a bank holiday.
Yes, that's very probable going to happen. In fact, it could be that the bank holiday event will be the thing that may be called out once the stock market opens on Monday. I'm not certain, but I know that the event that's going to catalyze this entire thing will be financial. The event on Tuesday is a financial event.
Yes, and do you see we've also been getting some bits and pieces of movement of troops, not only...
Yes, I've been having visions of seeing Chinese troops in American soil with black uniforms and a special crest on them that looks very strange, just like a triangle in yellow. I've seen in my visions the movements of boxes off of containers on the West Coast. I've seen the activation of people that looked like they were just regular citizens that were Oriental that all of a sudden were donning uniforms. I've seen rail cars arriving up through Mexico that had special markings on the outside, and they looked like they were very new containers. They didn't look like old recycled ones, and they had special markings on the side coming up through Mexico.
Okay, and
something's happening. I see the movement of submarines off the coast, both east and west coast, that include both Chinese and Russian submarines.
Okay, we have also been getting information about something in Britain. Have you gotten anything in that regard?
Yeah, some of the catalyzing events, I believe, financially may not start in America. They may start in Europe.
Okay, we were also, there's information out there that the $900 or the bailout was actually wanted by the European banks and by various
yeah, in fact, that's the reason why is that the bailout is not enough. The word I get in the spirit is that it's not enough to stop the hemorrhaging. It's like someone who's bled out 20 units of blood and you give them 2 and hope that if you put your finger over the hole, they won't die. And this bailout is not going to be sufficient to stop the hemorrhaging. In fact, it's actually going to encourage it. It's almost like when you give someone that's what's called platelet poor blood. They don't have enough platelets to stop to clot the wound off, so it'll stop hemorrhaging. It's actually encouraging further hemorrhaging. As the banks scramble to get funding to stop their bank collapsing, the bank run starts.
Yeah, understood, Bill, about that.
And I believe that the bank run is the most probable first major financial event that will occur as these banks start collapsing. And I don't believe that it will be mainly American. It'll be European banks, like the Bank of Scotland, the Bank of Belgium, the banks in Europe are the primary ones that I feel in my spirit are most likely to go down first.
Yeah, understood, Bill.
Would you advise people to take their money, their cash out of the banks at this time?
Yes. Get it out of the banks quickly, convert it to gold and silver coins, food, supplies, have water, have means of protection, and if you're in a big city, any big city in the United States, Canada, or Europe, even if you're staying in the city, have a route to get out of the city quickly when you see the signs occurring. Make sure that you know how to do civil defense if there's a nuclear explosion that occurs in a city, or the release of a biological, which is also another possibility because I've been having images of release of a pandemic, and I don't know when it's going to occur, but I know that it's not just a single event that's going to occur here with a nuke, that there's going to be a pestilence that's going to occur perhaps after that.
Yeah,
okay.
I
believe that the first event will be
financial,
financial, the second event is nuclear, and the third event is a pestilence, a spread of an avian flu.
Okay, I
1, 2, 3.
This as well.
Yeah, those are the 3 sequence: financial, nuclear, pestilence with avian flu.
Okay. Bill, in terms of the questions that the people listening to this will be asking, and the PR that surrounds a so-called terrorist event, just like it did surrounding 9/11, what would the public presentation, or rather what would the presentation to the public be of the connection between any financial situation and a nuclear event that would be based on an enemy state or an enemy group? Is this going to be presented as a coincidence?
Well, one of the visions that I had last night was I saw a number of of senior leaders of the Saudi Arabian